Okay guys, so for today's comic book video, we are going to wrap up our coverage over Secret Wars. And so with that being said, we're going to start off with Secret Wars number 7. Now, with Secret Wars number 7, it actually opens up with the false prophet. Now remember, the false prophet was a character introduced to us in our last video. A character who was going around the Kingdom of Doom recruiting people to turn their back on Dr. Doom. And so this false prophet was able to build an army of people who no longer trust Dr. Doom as their god. And so in the opening pages of this book, we actually see that army attacking the Kingdom of Doom. But we also get the chance to learn who is this false prophet. And we kind of find out it was Maximus the Mad. Because remember, Maximus the Mad was one of the characters who has survived the collapse of the multiverse to arrive to this new Earth that was created by Dr. Doom, by God Doom. And so right now, it's Maximus the Mad making his army try to fight through the kingdom of Dr. Doom to hopefully bring him down. Now, inside the castle of Dr. Doom, we do see that he does know that his castle is under attack, but he's not going to do anything at all. And the reason why, because you have the Black Swan actually tell Dr. Doom that she has sent out their army to fight against Maximus the Mad army. But while the two armies are fighting against one another, we do see that Dr. Doom is very upset that there are people in his kingdom that wish that he was no longer king. Now, you do have the Invisible Woman try to calm him down because remember, in this new Earth, they're married in this new Earth. But either way, you do have her try to calm down her husband. And the reason why, because she says, listen, sooner or later, we knew this was going to happen because when it comes to people, they will always try to fight against someone who has authority over them. And because you're their God, because you have authority over them, it was only sooner or later that they were going to fight against you. Now, you do have Val Richards tell her mom that she's wrong, that this battle between the two armies, something feels different. Something feels like something big is going to come. And of course, God Doom also realized that. And so he tells his family to call in the Thor Corps. And remember, the Thor Corps is basically a bunch of Thors who are the police force for God Doom. Now, Dr. Doom is right. Something is different about this war. Now, remember, in our last video, Dr. Doom did ask all the kings and queens from the different kingdoms across the world to come here and to help protect his kingdom from the army of the false prophet. But here comes the big problem, though. One of those kings or queens will betray Dr. Doom. And obviously, it's a clear choice who it is. It's Mr. Sinister. Because remember, earlier in our coverage of Secret Wars, he was secretly working on trying to take over the kingdom that belongs to the Braddock family. And so with that, he was trying, but he was stopped by Dr. Doom. But here he is right now betraying Dr. Doom by having his army fight against the other armies of the kings and queens. And of course, he does take out Madeline Pryor, the Goblin Queen, one of the many kings and queens that was under Dr. Doom. Now, with that being said, though, he is also stopped by Apocalypse because Apocalypse has his own kingdom. But Apocalypse wants to know what in the world is Mr. Sinister up to. And there is something else wrong with this war, because when the Thors arrive, you would think the Thors would basically help out God Doom. Because remember, when it comes to the Thors, they're basically God Doom's police force. But the Thors are not here to help out God Doom. Matter of fact, they're here to fight against God Doom. And that is huge. And the reason why, because if we jump back just a few moments ago, before this war had actually started, we actually pick up with the Thors fighting against one another. And the reason why they're fighting against one another is because Jane Foster. Because remember, Jane Foster was one of the many Thors, or one of the many characters, that has survived the collapse of the multiverse, meaning that she knows that this Earth is a fake Earth that was made by God Doom. And she told all the Thors about where she came from, that she came from an Earth that is no longer around, an Earth that used to exist before the collapse of the multiverse. And then she told the Thors everything else she knows about God Doom and this Earth. And of course, it did start a civil war between the Thors, because you have some Thors who actually do believe her, but you have other Thors who do not believe her. They still believe in God Doom. And so now you have a civil war between the Thors. Now, you do have one Thor tell Jane Foster to take some of the Thors that did believe her and go fight against God Doom, while the rest of the Thors who did believe her try to hold back the ones who did not believe her, so that she'll have enough time to hopefully bring down God Doom. Now, this war has gone full on crazy, because now you have all these different fractions fighting against one another. I said fractions, I mean factions. But you have all these different factions fighting against one another. You have the army of God Doom. You have the army of Maximus the Mad. You have the army of Apocalypse. You even have the army of Mr. Sinister. And you also have the Thors there as well. All these different factions are fighting against one another. And all you see God Doom do is just watch this war happen right in front of his kingdom. But things only get worse, because then you have all the characters look up in the sky and they see a helicarrier and they're like, okay, a helicarrier, cool. But usually when you see a helicarrier, it's usually being controlled by Nick Fury or somebody from S.H.I.E.L.D. But this time, it's not. Matter of fact, it's being controlled by a certain Hulk. And this Hulk is Maestro. Now remember, Maestro comes from a different universe where he is one of the last superpower beings in that universe, or in that universe Earth, because the rest of the heroes had died. Now this Hulk, he does have some intelligence inside of him. He's able to communicate very easily. But then you have him say, World Breaker Hulks, go. And that is the moment you see all these different Hulks just jump out of the helicarrier to join the big battle in front of God Doom's castle. But then we pick up with Ultimate Reed Richards and main Marvel Universe Reed Richards. Because remember, they have been working together to figure out how can they stop God Doom. And so right now you have them tell us, with the war going on, God Doom and all his people on his side will be too distracted while they sneak around him to steal something very valuable from him to hopefully stop him. And so they need the war to last just a little bit longer so that they can sneak by and get something that belongs to God Doom. Now you do have Ultimate Reed Richards say that that war, that big battle, is not going to last that long like main Marvel Universe Reed thinks it will. But you didn't have Reed say, don't worry, I have a backup plan. And that is the moment he calls up T'Challa. Now the reason why he calls up T'Challa is because T'Challa has built his own army as well. And it seems like this army is about to go join that big battle to continue that battle long enough for Reeds, or both Reeds and Star-Lord, to sneak by Doctor Doom to steal his most valuable thing. And so you have T'Challa and Namor say goodbye to Reed Richards, because they know that there is a huge possibility that they're going to die. But then this leads into one of the coolest moments for Black Panther. And the reason why I say that is because you have Black Panther and Namor say they need more people. They need an army. And that is the moment he throws these little balls that were basically grenades to break down a wall that was in front of them. Now this wall that was in front of them was holding something back. And that something was the Marvel zombies. Because remember, when it came to this new Earth that was made by God Doom, there are pieces of this earth that belong to a different universe from the multiverse. And so behind this wall right here, this part of the earth was holding on to the Marvel Zombies universe. But that is not the cool moment. What is the cool moment is you have Black Panther being able to control the zombies, to tell them to follow his orders, to follow behind him, to become his army. And the reason why that is possible, because in the earlier books of Marvel Comics, when it came to T'Challa, he was crowned King of the Dead. And so with him having that crown, that means that he was able to control these Marvel zombies. And so now he's able to use them as his army to go fight against God Doom. Now, when we jump into the 8th issue of Secret Wars, we actually pick up with the Reeds trying to go through with their plan. They're trying to sneak around the war that's keeping God Doom busy long enough so that they can steal his most valuable item. But here comes the big problem though, because while they're trying to sneak around the battle, of course, a random Hulk hits their jet. And of course, that means that their jet could crash down sooner or later. But then you have Johnathan Hickman continue to show us that things are about to get even crazier, because now we pick up with Ben Grimm. Now remember, Ben Grimm was convinced by Thanos at the end of our last video that this world is fake, that this world was made by God Doom. But with Ben Grimm learning that, it made Ben Grimm realize he does not want this life at all. And the reason why, because let's not forget, when it came to God Doom, he made Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, become the sun. But when it came to Ben Grimm, he made Ben Grimm the wall around the castle, but also the prison that keeps prisoners inside of. And so with that, you have Ben Grimm say, no, in my other life that Thanos told me about, it sounds so much better than the life I have right now. And so you have Ben Grimm attacking the castle of Doom. And it's Ben Grimm angry. But this is Johnathan Hickman saying, no, this craziness, this crazy train is not done just yet. Because while you have Ben Grimm attacking the castle of Doom, that is the moment you have Galactus appear. And this is huge because Dr. Doom, or God Doom, was able to use his godly powers to control Galactus. And so now you have Galactus fighting against giant-sized Ben Grimm. This story is getting crazy. Getting back over to the Reeds and Star-Lord, we do come to find out that they are okay after their jet had crashed down. Now, of course, you do have the Reeds continue their goal to figure out where is this most valuable item that belongs to God Doom that could possibly help them bring God Doom down. But with that being said, you do have Ultimate Reed Richards tell Star-Lord to fix their ship because they may need it after they're able to grab the item that they're looking for. But then you have Johnathan Hickman say, hey, you know what? This story hasn't got crazy enough yet. Let's add a little bit more crazy stuff into this storyline. And so that is the moment you have Thanos appear. And Thanos appears with his own army to add into this big battle. It's getting even crazier. But this leads into the death of Ben Grimm. And what I mean is that we see Ben Grimm trying to fight against Galactus. And we knew that there is no way Ben Grimm could survive against Galactus. There is no way. But Ben Grimm, he was going to try to stop Galactus. But then he realized he should just stop fighting. And the reason why? Because the person who is in control of Galactus is Franklin Von Doom. And the reason why Ben Grimm stopped fighting after he saw Franklin is because this is the moment you have Franklin Von Doom tell Ben Grimm that he is the son of Susan Storm, or Susan Von Doom, because Ben Grimm and Susan, they haven't talked in years. So Ben Grimm had no idea that his old friend had children. And so when he learned that Franklin Richards, or Franklin Von Doom, is the son of Susan Storm, you have Ben Grimm just stop, because he feels like he is not going to fight against the children of his old friend. And so with that, Galactus kills Ben Grimm right there. Now, this hurts Susan so much because even though Susan hasn't talked to Ben Grimm in so long, that was still her friend. And so to watch her friend be killed by Galactus, who is being controlled by her own son, she just can't take it. We see how sad she is. But that is the moment you have Valerie Richards tell Susan Storm to come with her. She says, "Mom, do you trust me?" And you have Susan say, "Yes, I do trust you." And so you have Valerie say, "Did I need to show you something very important?" Then you have Johnathan Hickman continue to make this story even crazier, because that is the moment we jump back over to Star-Lord. Now you have Star-Lord trying to fix the jet that brought him and the Reeds over to Castle Doom. But while he's trying to work on the jet, that is the moment you have the Black Swan appear. And remember, by this point, the Black Swan, she is working for Dr. Doom. But when she appears, she's all like, "Okay, I'm going to go ahead and kill you off because clearly you are a threat to my Lord, to my God." And so you have Black Swan begin the process of beating down on Star-Lord. But that is the moment you have Star-Lord say, "Hold up. I am not going to go down that easily." And so he shows her a piece of wood. And you're kind of like, okay, a piece of wood. What in the world is going to happen next? And that is the moment you have Groot appear. And Groot appears very angry. And so he begins the process of attacking the Black Swan. And so now Groot is here in this big battle. But then we jump back over to Susan and Valerie. Now, with those two characters right there, they do tell us that Groot was the World Tree, the tree that Dr. Doom was sitting in certain points of this storyline. But honestly, that is not important. What is important is you have Valerie and Susan continue to walk deeper into Castle Doom. And the reason why? Because Valerie is trying to show Susan where God Doom powers comes from. But while they're on their way over to that location, well, they run into the main Marvel Universe Reed. Now, when it comes to Valerie, when it comes to Susan, they have no idea about Reed. They've seen him because God Doom has been looking for him, but they have no idea that before God Doom made this earth, they were a family. They have no idea. But Reed, he does. He's kind of like, "Yep, I knew this was going to happen sooner or later." But then this leads into one of the best conversations of this whole storyline, because then you have God Doom and Thanos have a conversation. Now, how the conversation goes is amazing, because you have God Doom actually walk up to Thanos and he's kind of like, "Hey, Thanos, I know you did all of this to basically be one of my kings in one of my different kingdoms around the world. If you want that, I will give it to you." But then you have Thanos like, "Bruh, did you actually think that's what I want? That I actually want to become one of your kings in your kingdom? No, I did not want that at all. I came here to tell you that you are a horrible god." Because to Thanos, a god should only be judging people, not out there trying to be nice to the people or trying to make the people's lives better. Instead, a god should only judge people, and that is it. Now, when it comes to Thanos, he actually thinks that he can bring down God Doom. He's like, "Listen, I don't need any other powerful artifact to actually stop you, God Doom. I can stop you on my own." And that is the moment you have God Doom tell Thanos, "Man, you gone messed up. If you actually think that you can stop me without any powerful artifact, bruh, you messed up." And that is the moment you have God Doom literally rip out the spine of Thanos, killing Thanos right then and there. And you're kind of like, this just got real. Now, you would think that this story couldn't get even crazier, but it does. Because that is the moment you have everyone realize that there is a bright light coming from somewhere. And the question is, though, from where? But that is the moment you have everyone look over and they see some kind of door opening up, some kind of portal. And of course, you do have some characters walk through that portal. And those characters is Black Panther and Namor. But the reason why this is so huge, because Black Panther is wielding the Infinity Gauntlet, hoping that it will be just enough to actually stop God Doom. And so we finally reached the ending, the big ending, the one that wraps up Secret Wars. But we have to pick up with God Doom about to fight against Black Panther. Black Panther, who's holding the Infinity Gauntlet. It's about to go down. But with that being said, though, at first you have Dr. Doom tried to reason with Black Panther and Namor, because back before the multiverse was destroyed, before he made his new Earth, Black Panther, Namor, and Dr. Doom, they were all kings of different kingdoms across the Marvel universe. And so it's Dr. Doom trying to reason with them, saying, listen, you know what it's like to be in charge. You know what it's like to be a king. And so you should know, or you should actually try to sit down and think, what are the expectations for someone when they become a god? It's even harder than it is when you're just a king. And so it's him trying to reason with Black Panther, to reason with Namor. But of course, Black Panther is not hearing it because he knows that God Doom needs to go away. God Doom needs to be stopped. And so with that, you have the battle actually begin. And at first, it does seem like Black Panther and Namor were able to defeat Dr. Doom by using the Infinity Gauntlet. But of course, this is God Doom. He cannot be stopped so easily. And so this battle is about to get even more interesting. But while you have Dr. Doom and Black Panther fighting against one another, you actually have a conversation going on between Reed and Sue. Now, this conversation is very important because when it comes to Reed, he's all like, yes, it's me, Reed Richards. But you have no idea who I am because when Dr. Doom made this new Earth, he did not make me. He didn't want to bring me to life. And so you have no idea who I am. But of course, you have Susan tell Reed that she does know him, but only because she saw his picture when Dr. Doom was very upset that he was back in this new world. But with that, you have Susan and Valerie ask Reed, who is he? What does he want? Now, this is hard for Reed because this is his wife. This is his daughter. But of course, in this new Earth, they belong to Dr. Doom. That's his wife. That's his daughter. And so it's hard for Reed to have this conversation. But he tells her, I'm Reed Richards, and I'm somebody who fixes things. I am going to fix all of this. You're kind of like, oh, you're going to fix all of this? How, Reed? How are you going to fix all of this? But of course, he is going to. Now, you do have the Reeds continue to go down the path of trying to find the most valuable item that belongs to Dr. Doom, that belongs to God Doom. And that valuable item is, of course, what makes Dr. Doom God Doom, where his power source is coming from. And we know what it is. We know what makes Dr. Doom God Doom. It is the Molecule Man. That what makes God Doom who he is right now. And of course, Reed, he already knew that. He realized it had to be the Molecule Man. Now, with that being said, though, this is the moment you have the Maker betray Reed Richards. Ultimate Reed betrays the main Marvel Universe Reed. And the reason why? Because to the Maker, when he looks at the main Marvel Universe Reed, he looks at him as a wimp. And he says, who wants a wimpy god? And so he traps the main Marvel Universe Reed in some kind of time bubble where Reed basically goes through different time points throughout time. And so it hurts Reed, but of course, it's a way for the maker to remove the main Marvel Universe Reed so that he believes that he'll become the next god in line after God Doom. But then you have the Molecule Man actually free the main Marvel Universe Reed from that time bubble, and then he gets rid of Ultimate Reed Richards. Just like that, without even moving an inch, the Molecule Man was able to do two things just like that. But then you have the Molecule Man tell main Marvel Universe Reed, he better get ready, because sooner or later, God Doom is going to come down here to have a very important conversation. But getting back over to the battle between God Doom and Black Panther, this battle does go on for a couple more pages, but here's the big thing though. God Doom, he was really just playing around with Black Panther because he knew that he was way stronger than Black Panther. And so this whole battle was just God Doom playing around with Black Panther to make Black Panther believe that he had actually stand a chance against God Doom. But then you have God Doom realize, wait a second, Black Panther knew that he did not stand a chance against me. This was a distraction. And that is the moment you have God Doom leave Black Panther on the ground to figure out what in the world is really going on. Now, you do have God Doom teleport over to Valerie and Susan Storm. Now, this is very important because basically now they know everything because Reed Richards told them everything. And right now, you have God Doom upset because now the people that he may fall in love with him by using his God powers now know everything. That this world is not a real world. This world was made by God Doom, but in his own image. And so with that being said, he basically lost his family to Reed just telling them everything. But this leads into one of the best moments of all time when it comes to Marvel Comics, because you have Victor Von Doom actually walk into the room that was holding the Molecule Man. And when he does, of course, Reed is also in that room. And this begins the battle between two characters who have been rivals for so long in Marvel Comics. But of course, these two men, they have different opinions on how things should be handled. Because you have Victor Von Doom say, when it comes to Reed, Reed is always trying to handle problems that are happening right now. But when it comes to Victor Von Doom, he is trying to fix problems that could come down the road. Now, when it comes to Reed, you have Reed say, but here's your problem though, Victor. You had the power of a god. But here's the thing though, you were so scared to lose everything that you have made, everything that you had close to you. You held everything so close with your God power that now everything is falling apart because you made this world in your own image to make this world better for you, not for them, but for you. And so with that, you have these two men fighting against each other. Now, if you're wondering how in the world is Reed able to battle against God Doom, let me explain. Because the Molecule Man took the powers away from God Doom. And so now he is just regular Victor Von Doom. That is it. And so the fight is pretty fair. It's pretty even. But while you have these two men fighting against each other and expressing how they feel towards one another, you then have Victor Von Doom ask Reed one important question. And that question is, do you believe if you had the power of a god, would you be a better god than me? And you have Reed say, yes, I would have been a better god than you. Now, of course, you didn't have Victor Von Doom say, finally, we agree on something. And then he says, you can now die, Reed. But right before Victor Von Doom is able to kill off Reed Richards, that is the moment you have the Molecule Man say, oh, well, if you believe that he'll be a better god than you, then that changes everything. And that is the moment you had the Molecule Man remind us that when he was made by the Beyonders to be a bomb to blow up a universe. And so with that, he's all like, listen, if you believe that Reed Richards would be a better God than you, then I am going to blow up what you made, God Doom. And just like that, this new Earth is beginning to blow up. But while it's being blown up, you do have Black Panther grab one of the Infinity Stones, hoping that it can protect him long enough so that he will not die with this new Earth. But when he opens his eyes, he's back in Wakanda. Now here comes the big thing though. Because once he realized that he's back in Wakanda, he begins to walk around. He begins to look around at the country that he thought he had lost. But here comes the big surprise. He went back in time. And what I mean is that he went so far back in time that now we are at the very beginning of Johnathan Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers run. And what I mean is that, remember, at New Avengers #1, at the opening pages of that book, we saw Black Panther with a bunch of teenagers working on some kind of project. That took place at the very beginning of Johnathan Hickman's run on the Avengers and New Avengers. And so when Black Panther walks around Wakanda, he realized he's back at that time point. He's back at that moment right there. And so with that being said, he's kind of like, what happened? The last thing I remember was that New Earth was being wiped out. And here I am now, back at the very beginning of everything. But then we jump over to Miles Morales and Peter Parker. Now, this was a huge moment for the character of Miles Morales. And the reason why, because remember, when it came to Miles Morales at this point in Marvel Comics, he was in the Ultimate Marvel Universe. But with Marvel, they were trying to get rid of the Ultimate Marvel Universe, but keep things that were popular from the Ultimate Marvel Universe. And that was Miles Morales. And so with Miles giving the Molecule Man a burger back in our last video, the Molecule Man felt like he owed something to Miles Morales. And so what he did was he made Miles and his family transport over to the main Marvel universe, like they were always there in the first place, but we all know they weren't. But either way now, Miles Morales is now part of the main Marvel universe. Now, the big question is, what happened to Reed Richards and Victor Von Doom and the Molecule Man after that big battle? Well, we come to find out they all survived after the explosion of the new Earth that was made by God Doom. But what happened next was Reed and the Molecule Man basically made a deal to recreate the multiverse. And so with that being said, the first Earth they made was the original main Marvel universe. But now you have the Molecule Man, the Fantastic Four, and their children about to go around and recreate the multiverse. Because remember, at the end of Johnathan Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers, right before Secret Wars, the multiverse was wiped out. And so right now you have our heroes, or really just Reed and Sue and their kids and the Molecule Man recreating the multiverse, which is a very huge thing to see. But to close on this video, this long story that we have been covering, Secret Wars, we actually do see that Victor Von Doom is back to being king of Latveria once again. He's alive, and we see him walk outside his castle. But here comes the big shock though. He's no longer wearing that metal face, and his face is healed. All those scars he had on his face for a very long time in Marvel Comics is no longer around. He now has a regular looking face, and he looks happy about it. But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So guys, we finally wrapped up Secret Wars. We're finally done with Johnathan Hickman's Avengers, New Avengers, Secret Wars. We're done with all of that. Don't worry, We're going to have some full story videos down the road, but either way, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.